Howdy Squids, you recorded your first video and you're ready to edit it in Premiere. Even if you are a total beginner, you can follow along and you should have a finished video ready to upload for YouTube when you're finished. Grab your footage and let's open up Premiere. Once you have Premiere open, it should look something like this. So we'll go ahead and click New Project. Name it the project that you want. We're just going to say that this is Test Project. If you have a fairly powerful graphics card, I would suggest changing this to Mercury Playback Engine GPU acceleration so that your playback will be a lot smoother. And then the rest of this can pretty much stay as is unless you want to change the location of where this project's going to be located. And now we can click OK. You should see a big empty screen like this. Now if you don't, it may be because you're in a separate workflow page. You can go to the top here, you can click All Panels, and it should look something like this. This is the first page that we do want to start on. If your page doesn't look like mine, you can go up to Window here, and you can click Reset to Saved Layout, and that should be your default layout. First thing that we're going to go ahead and do is import your footage. Now I've got my footage here in my file browser. If it's on your phone, you may have to put it onto your computer first, and then we can pull it in here. You can click and drag into the project bin here. And it's this little bottom left area here. You can go ahead and click and drag, and then you'll see it appear in here. Now, if you do have more than one clip, you can select all of them and then pull them all into here once. But for today, we're just working on a single video clip. Now, to actually work on this video, we'll need to create a new sequence. So you can actually click and drag into the timeline here with your footage, and it'll create a brand new timeline that has the exact settings of that video file. We want to make sure that our sequence settings matches the frame rate and the resolution that we shot at. We can, of course, double check this by going to Sequence Settings, and you see that it's 29.97, which is 30 frames per second, and 1920 by 1080 resolution. Now, I know there's a bunch of other screens, but really we're only working with two main screens right now. So we're working with the program monitor, which is on the top here, and you can see it's selected because it's got the blue outline, and the actual timeline selector. When I click into this, you'll see the outside is selected blue, so you know which one you're going in between. A special note on audio syncing, by the way, this entire file had the sound recorded with it. If your audio isn't perfectly synced to the video, you can right click onto this entire clip here. You can click unlink, and then you can click and drag to start shifting it around until your timing's right. My timing's already right, so I'm gonna leave it as is. Now to play your actual file, you can press the little play button here, or you can hit the space bar, whichever one's easier. Recording is live. Actually in focus, wow, okay. This actual first section we probably don't want to use, so now we can actually start cutting into the video and editing it. Most of this first section is not a good take, so I already know that I'm probably going to want to delete this section. And if you can see on the actual audio waveform here, there's lots of dead sections that we're going to want to cut out. To go back to the beginning of your clip, you can hit the up arrow key, or you can click and drag in between this little yellow line here. You can click and drag to move the playhead around. Anywhere that your playhead is, that is where you're going to start playing. That's what you'll see playing in the program monitor. A little bit of planning on the... So we can click and drag to the very beginning. So we know that we are back at the actual beginning. And now on the left side, you'll see a little blade tool here. It's called the razor tool. You can press C, or you can just click it. And that changes the tool on the timeline to a blade that will split onto the left and right side of wherever you click on this little clip piece here. So I know that I start speaking right about here, and that first portion is just me turning the camera, so I'm going to go ahead and make a cut here. Then you can press V, or you can select the selector tool here. We can select the section that we cut on the left side here. Then we can press delete, and it'll delete that whole section. Now, you'll see that your program monitor went black. That's because we did where the playhead is right now, there's nothing. So next, we'll have to delete this actual empty section. Go ahead and left-click that empty space, and then press delete again. And that will close down that whole black area and bring you to the next point where you made the cut. Let's take this next section, which is not the beginning of the clip, where we need to make two cuts. So let's go ahead and play through this section so we know what we're looking at. If you ever hit that record button and suddenly you blank out on everything, go ahead and hit that like button. Sometimes it's a little funny watching your own footage. So I can see that there is an actual section here that has pretty much no noise. That's how I'm going to know what to cut basically until the next point. Now you can go through and play this whole section if you wanted to see where you're going to make your cuts. But I can already see in these quiet parts, those are things that I'm going to take out. So once again, we can go to the razor tool. We can select this little first point here, and then we can select this second point here. Now we can highlight that section by left-clicking that little dead space section that we want to take out, hit the delete key, then we can select the empty space in between it again, and hit the delete key. And that will bring that first section where you made that cut to the very next section where you made that second cut. And that's pretty much the basic process of how to cut. You can rinse and repeat for the entirety of the section of this video pretty much. Now, a few things that will make this whole process a little bit easier. You can press Alt and then go up and down on your scroll wheel, and that'll scroll in and out of your timeline. If you need to see smaller pieces of this audio where you might need to cut, you can scroll in and out. You can move the timeline itself by going up and down just with the scroll wheel with nothing else. Same as before with movement, you can click at the top here to move the actual playhead, or you can use the arrow keys. So if I press up, it'll take me to the first part of where the next cut in the clip is to the left side. If I press it up again, it'll take me to the very beginning because that's the next cut point in this clip that I have started chopping down. Thankfully, I have already cut this clip and we're just using it as an example, so we'll go ahead and hop to the end here. Now, your final product will probably look a little different than this. It'll probably have many, many more cuts, but let's say that this is your final video, basically how you want all of your cuts. We'll go ahead and play it through here.
Hey guys, I'm Brian, and I'll be telling you about the 6 things that you should do before you hit that record button. Then go ahead, check out this video here.
Masterpiece. Incredibly well done video. There are many things that you could add to this video, and there are other ways to cut video that can be a little bit faster. But hey, technically, you just cut a video. Congratulations to you. Now, let's go ahead and get this video exported so that we can put it somewhere like YouTube or Vimeo. Go ahead and go to the top here. We're going to click File, go to Export, go to Media, and then you should see the export settings pop up here. Make sure that this format is set to H.264. That is what YouTube accepts. And there's actually a perfect preset that we can use for this. So go ahead and click, scroll down through the presets, go to YouTube 1080p Full HD. Now, note, this is for if your resolution is 1920 by 1080. If you're filming from something like a phone, typically their default settings are going to be 1920 by 1080 at 30 frames per second. You should see a little checkbox right here that auto matches the frame rate to the timeline. You can click here to change the output name. Go ahead and navigate to the folder that you want it to output to, and we'll just call this trying test. Click save. And then pretty much all of the other default settings within here, I wouldn't touch. I am going to make one change though. I'm going to go to bitrate settings here. I'm going to change this to constant bitrate. Basically, I like constant bitrate because that means that it won't fluctuate really, really high or really, really low when it's trying to encode the video. We can leave this on 16. That's a pretty good balance between quality and speed. And the rest of these settings can be left as is. We can go ahead and click export here and it'll export your video. Not sure if I can do it while I'm recording the video. And there we go. You should see a little confirmation in the bottom right here. It says your video was exported successfully. This is an 8-second video, so it was very fast to render, but if yours is 10, 15, or 30 minutes even, it's gonna take a while to render. Now, once it's done all rendering, you can actually navigate to where that video was outputted to. You can double click and open it up. I don't want to hear myself twice, so I'm not gonna open this up, but you can double click it to test it and make sure that everything looks all right. Now, huge congratulations. You just edited and exported your first video. Awesome job. There are a million ways to edit faster and fancier, but this basic method will get you started right away. Practice this a couple times and you'll be ready for more in no time. Now, your shiny new video will need a shiny new thumbnail to go with it, right? If you need help making a killer thumbnail, for free nonetheless, go ahead and check out this video right here. If you want more tips on making video content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel.